Hello and welcome to the THV11 Plus Weekend Wrap-Up. I'm Jurnee Taylor. Election Day is Tuesday and THV11 is your election central. That's why we want to spend the next couple of minutes talking about safety, both for you and your vote. Power companies here in Arkansas are working to ensure our grid is prepared for Election Day. We spoke to Entergy and election officials to learn about the work happening behind the scenes.
We've done all of the proactive checks ahead of time, and that we have our servicemen and our line workers available and ready to respond if needed.
Early voting is underway, but many people are still waiting to cast their vote on Election Day. And a thought that I'm sure hasn't crossed many of our minds is casting it in the dark.
Things will be really busy. You know, when you think of all sorts of infrastructure concerns, there will be extra traffic. There will be, of course, people getting in and out of these polling locations. And so what we have done at Entergy Arkansas is just made sure that we are in the best proactive position that we can be in case of any power outages or anything like that.
Communications specialist Heather Kendrick says although they don't anticipate any issues, it's always best to be proactive.
For example, if a car or a truck hits a power pole. So in the event that something like that should happen, we just want to make sure that we have all of our crews on standby throughout our service territory so that if for some reason the power were to go out at a polling place, we can get it restored as quickly and safely as possible.
That same energy transferring to Pulaski County Election Coordinator Amanda Dickens.
So the poll workers do have flashlights in their supplies just in case. And we also have, backup lamps up here that we could take out to the locations if need be.
And they have a plan in place if things begin to escalate.
If it's a really, really bad situation and they're going to be without power, say for the rest of the day, we can then, take that polling place and combine it with the next closest polling place.
Nationally, the FBI and police are not letting up in their search for a suspect who deliberately set fire to several ballot boxes in Oregon and Washington state this week, destroying hundreds of ballots. Drop boxes in the area are now being guarded 24 hours a day, and election officials are scrambling to get replacement ballots to impacted voters. Chris Van Cleve takes us behind the scenes for a look at how ballots are printed and the security measures in place to prevent tampering.
The sounds of democracy being printed, sorted, stuffed, and shipped from inside this secure facility in Phoenix, complete with armed guards.
How many ballots do you print?
For the general election, we'll print about 35 million ballots.
Jeff Ellington heads Run Back Election Services.
We don't overprint anything, so every step as we go through, we print exactly what the county's asked for.
They'll use about 6,000 miles of paper, printing up to 1.5 million ballots a day, enough to fill 51 semis and weighing about the same as 2 747s.
What's to stop someone from copying one of your ballots?
And it's got to be on the right paper. The tolerances to cut a ballot are shockingly tight, and it's not 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper.
And all of that would be hard to replicate.
In Maricopa County alone, I think this election there's about 15,000 different ballot styles.
The kind, thickness, and color of the paper can vary by machine tabulating the vote, which varies by county. So does the design and layout of the ballot itself. And every single ballot is tracked.
There's a secure process where the chain of custody of all of these ballots, from paper to ballots going to the election office to the ballots going to the voters, is all maintained under rigorous circumstances.
Runback works with 30 states. A growing part of its business is now election security.
We recently started selling panic buttons to counties because of all the threats to poll workers.
Devices that connect to 911.
How many panic buttons have you sold?
We're right around 1,000 to different counties.
It's a lot of panic buttons.
There's a lot of concern.
Concern around an election now just days away. Chris Van Cleve, CBS News, Phoenix.
Well, this will be the first presidential election since the civil unrest and violence of January 6, 2021, amid the certification of the 2020 election results. Our Verify team is hearing from some Arkansas voters concerned for their safety when they go cast their ballots. Here's Karen Fuller.
Our sources are the Arkansas Secretary of State's office, the Attorney General, FindLaw.com, and the Arkansas Board of Election Commissioners. The short answer is yes, there are laws on the books meant to keep voters from feeling intimidated as they go to cast a ballot. But Arkansas Election Code is much more specific. For example, it uses the term electioneering to describe a host of behaviors, all of them prohibited by any election official, such as speaking to a voter to persuade them to support or reject a ballot measure or candidate. Electioneering can also mean handing out literature, showing a ballot measure's number, title, or logo. It's even against Arkansas law to hand out collectibles like buttons, shirts, or stickers to a voter approaching the polls. Another reassuring law, according to the Board of Election Commissioners, is that voters be given a 100-foot zone of space, free from any interference. And Chris Powell with the Secretary of State's office says voters can rest assured that violators of these laws can face serious felony charges. Powell says, quote, "No voter should face intimidation or harassment of any kind at the polls. If something like that occurs, please notify the nearest poll worker or election official." So we can verify that, yes, Arkansas election officials have laws and other protections in place to make Election Day a peaceful one for voters wishing to make their voices heard. Another safety net for voters is the Attorney General's voter hotline, where you can report any type of harassment or intimidation. That election hotline is here on the bottom of your screen, 833-995-8683. With your Verify, I'm Karen Fuller.
And while you are waiting in line to vote, we have created a handy voter guide you can access on your phone. Just text the word VOTE to the number on your screen. That is 501-376-1111. It will have info on the races and even show you a sample ballot. It's clear that Democrats and Republicans are seeing very different things as America decides the 2024 election. A CBS News poll shows 66% of likely Harris voters believe the condition of the U.S. economy is good, while 87% of likely Trump voters believe it's bad. And a majority of Trump supporters think the number of migrants recently crossing the border has been increasing, while a majority of Harris supporters say it's been decreasing or staying the same. So how did we get to the point where it feels like we're living in two different worlds? Tony DeCopel searched for answers through a little social experiment, asking supporters of both candidates to try looking at things from a new perspective.
Separated by only the Passaic River, the New Jersey towns of Livingston and East Hanover are miles apart politically.
I'm Tony.
Tony, I'm Lou.
You can tell where Lou D'Amour and his fiancée Karen Volino stand, along with many of their neighbors here in East Hanover, which voted for Trump by a large margin in 2020.
You got a big political sign on the house.
Yeah, that's my hero.
While just across the Passaic, it's pretty much the opposite story.
Tony, Dana Miller.
Hey,
Dana and Jeff Miller are among the large majority of Livingston that voted blue 4 years ago. And judging by the lawn decorations,
what is the defining difference between a person who puts up a sign and a person who doesn't?
Passion.
many here are now throwing their support behind Harris.
Donald Trump is a sociopath, he's a narcissist, autocrat in waiting.
What are the issues for you?
The issues are, to me, primarily democracy. Democracy.
Feelings about what's at stake are just as strong on the other side of the river.
If she did, God forbid, win, it's over for us. Like America, it's over for us. It's done.
So how did it come to be that Americans could see things so differently?
I don't know. I get my bagels in East Hanover.
Exactly.
I'm hanging out with these people.
So
we're watching games.
Right.
You know, we're doing all this. But when it comes to politics, there's a clear divide.
A divide that's noticeable here and everywhere else, with polls showing 4 out of every 5 adults believe Americans are greatly divided on our most important values.
You can't say what you want to say. And the other side says what they want to say. But if you say you're racist, you're homophobic, you're like, why? I'm just having an opinion.
But the way in which those opinions are formed,
I think it has to do with where you're getting your information from,
is where we found at least some agreement.
How much do you think people's different opinions are based on just different sources of information?
I know the people that I talk to, I know the channels they're watching. I know what they're watching because they're so brainwashed, they have no clue what's going on.
So we asked Lou and Karen to join us at Dana and Jeff's.
Hello.
Hi, guys.
Hey!
They'd never met before, but agreed to sit down and hear each other out.
It's uncivilized. We're living in an uncivilized nation.
When, before, did we ever think like that?
Nope.
It's getting worse.
So what caused it?
The division?
Yeah, the division.
She's not going to like my answer. Obama.
You say
I'm gonna blame
Obama
Obama for it.
unleashed something,
Yeah,
or
he
represented something?
You know what unleashed me? Trump.
They couldn't agree on even basic facts on issues like the economy.
Inflation is way down.
Inflation is down?
Yeah. Jobs are up.
The border wall.
He put up 5 miles.
Yeah, well, where did you hear that? He
On
put
the
almost
news.
500 miles of wall.
Or foreign relations.
Putin's supporting Kamala.
Yeah, I don't see that.
He is.
Where did you hear this?
Yeah, I don't
All over the news.
So we watched one of Lou and Karen's regular sources of news. Jesse Waters on Fox.
Kamala thinks voters are too ignorant to get her message through their thick skulls.
It became apparent that much of the information that show lays out
Kamala wants to win the black vote with free money and drugs.
seemed to Dana
I never heard this before.
like it was presented out of context.
They take sound bites of what they want to promote.
Does it help you understand why they feel
Yes.
the way they do?
Oh, absolutely. Because if this is what you're watching, then this is what you're believing.
And when we flipped over to MSNBC,
This is my truth.
it was Lou who flipped out over Lawrence O'Donnell.
The Trump campaign staff, all of whom disgrace themselves every day by lying every day.
Get out of here.
He too saw distortions in the way his candidate was covered.
Critics say your tariffs will end up being like a national sales tax.
Nope.
Because
The countries will
add-
pay. The countries will pay.
Did you see what he just did there?
What do you do?
Chop it. I saw that whole interview. He knocked it out of.
This is
Chop
the
it.
sound bites
Say
from what
one
he's
word,
propagating.
nail him. Say one word and nail him. That's why they call this fake news.
In the end,
You said this is my truth. You said this is fake news.
I'm gonna pray for you guys tonight, and I mean that. I mean that.
Same.
no one's vote was changed because of our little get-together.
I think the point is to watch a lot of different news outlets and form your own opinion.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And yet the couples did find at least something to agree on.
Do you think these opinion shows are part of the problem?
Yes.
100%.
Yes.
Sometimes I think the
Yes,
both
I
sides
do.
show things skewing to their audience.
Yeah.
I wish we could stop this crap. You know, even the stuff that Fox says sometimes. I mean, this got to stop. I don't know what it's going to take.
If we all acknowledge how we got into the silos and the problem with the diet, the media diet that we have, why do we keep eating it?
Pastime? I don't know.
Habit.
Yes. 100%.
No matter what happens, THV11 will be here bringing you the very latest on THV11 Plus. We'll be streaming throughout election night, sharing results and reactions from all the major races happening across Arkansas. It begins when polls close at 7:30 on Tuesday night. We hope you will join us. The lithium boom continues to make headlines here in the natural state. Just this week, we learned an Arkansas company will lead the charge in bridging the gap between the fast-growing industry and local businesses. More on that in a few minutes.
Like the kids' packaging for their snack packages have gotten smaller in quantity in the package versus what it used to be.
Lexi Gianetto is a mom of 4.
Our kids are 20, 15, 10, and 6.
And over the last few years, she's noticed big differences when it comes to the grocery bill.
I'm spending more right now with only 3 kids at home for our groceries here at our house than I was having 4 kids at home.
Lexi says right now she spends about $1,500 a month on groceries, but in 2019, she was spending about $900 a month.
I was able to sit back and compare an exact purchase that I purchased in 2019 to an exact purchase if I were to buy it today, and it was $75 more.
She also noticed some items have higher prices, but less product.
These are the pita chips down here from $5.99 to $8.99, and it went from an 18-ounce bag to a 15-ounce bag.
There are just so many categories of goods that are shrinking.
Since 1995, Edgar Dworsky has kept a close eye on the products we often throw in our grocery carts. He says manufacturers have packaging tricks that can lead people to believe they're getting more product.
In Special K, the red berry variety, you look at the new box, which is 15.6 ounces. The old one was 16.9. and it actually is slightly taller than the old box. So if you saw them on the shelf, gee, you'd think maybe you're getting more, and in fact, you're getting maybe a full bowl of cereal less in every box.
It's not just cereal.
The Jurnee Rising Crust Pepperoni Pizza was 27.5 ounces for the pretty large size. It was reduced by 10%. 24.7 ounces is the new one.
Dworsky says we can see two things when shopping. One is shrinkflation, which means the size of a product is reduced, but the price is the same. The other is product shrinkage, which means exactly what it says, less product, and sometimes with a higher price tag, leading people like Lexi to change the way they shop by going to different stores.
When I've got my really long grocery list, I look at, okay, this is how much it is at H-E-B, this is how much it is at Kroger, this is how much it is at Walmart, and choose which store I'm going to buy what item from.
Dworsky's advice, keep a close eye before you buy.
Don't be an automatic shopper. By that, I mean, don't just grab that jar of mayonnaise that you always grab because it looks to be about the same size. Don't always grab that box of cereal. Don't buy by size name.
Lexi tells me to save money, she buys in bulk, and there's some items she stopped buying, like shredded cheese. Instead, she buys blocks of them and shreds them herself. Jalissa Garza, THV11 News.
And a THV11 update, an Arkansas-based group is now helping small businesses tap into the promises of the lithium industry. Maya Ellison spoke with the people behind Startup Junkies for an idea on how they plan to lead the charge for the rechargeable mineral.
We want to make sure that we're providing awareness and providing all the opportunities for the people in the community.
Startup Junkie is no stranger to helping entrepreneurs prepare for the future. But these days, they're helping small businesses tap into a big industry.
Essentially what it is, it's a public-private partnership to bring together active participants in a region to sort of work together and develop and grow an industry.
The Fayetteville-based company is one of 14 chosen for the U.S. Small Business Administration's Regional Innovation Cluster. With that help, SBA officials say Startup Junkie will, quote, support small businesses in leveraging lithium for the clean energy and electric vehicle transition across Northeast Texas, Southern Arkansas, Northern Louisiana, and West Mississippi.
The overall goal for us is to provide opportunities for people, especially along the lithium supply chain.
The announcement comes just a week after the Arkansas Department of Energy and Environment and United States Geological Survey released a new study outlining the possible discovery of somewhere between 5 and 19 million tons of lithium located in an area called the Smackover Formation. While lithium production is nothing new for major companies like ExxonMobil and Albemarle, Matthew Ward says entrepreneurs and small businesses can also have a seat at the table.
Are the number of small businesses within the cluster growing? Is their revenue growing? Are they getting access to federal funding opportunities to help fund their commercialization efforts?
Also known as white gold, lithium can be used in air treatment, batteries, electric vehicles, or even equipment for soldiers in the battlefield once it's extracted. When we reached out to USGS hydrologist Catherine Kernernam on the importance of the metal, she said, quote, lithium was and still is seen as a strategic mineral commodity that could contribute towards U.S. energy independence, an avenue the country once led up until the 1980s.
We think this could be a great way to have sort of mind share from different people across different walks of life and be able to have sort of that mentality of rising tides brings up all ships.
In Little Rock, Maya Ellison, THV11 News.
The SBA is just the start to opening doors for small businesses to play a hand in the state's lithium growth. Colleges like Arkansas Tech University have worked to implement lithium courses for students to gain insight of the industry. Well, it was also a big week for Arkansas's casino industry. Saracen Casino Resort is now one step closer to being complete. Carter Thweets brings the update as the hotel gets topped off.
I'm standing inside what'll one day be the hotel lobby here at Pine Bluff Saracen Casino Resort. It was a big day for the future hotel today, and officials tell me there's more big days coming up in the near future.
That was a really proud moment to know that we could be a part of that,
to be here with the local community and share in that.
That was the reaction of Weena Supernaw from the Quapaw Nation as the highest beam was placed on top of the hotel at the Saracen Casino Resort. Carlton Safa with the casino resort says the topping ceremony is an important checkpoint in the construction process.
You can see it from miles away. So about 200 foot in the air, you'll see the top beam of this property, which means we've reached the pinnacle of the construction of the skeleton of the building. And a year from now, where we're standing, will be a lobby with a 60-story atrium.
After the ceremony, hundreds of the construction workers on the project were thanked with a meal. Safa says their hard work has ensured that Saracen will be able to get to the next level, something he's been waiting on since the casino first opened in 2020.
I'm proud that about 70% of our employees live in Jefferson County, but about 70% of our customers come from Little Rock. When you build a hotel, those folks who come from out of town, they stay. And they stay overnight, and they spend more time with you.
But for Supernaw, it's all about those local folks, the Jefferson County natives who have stood behind this project from the beginning.
Jefferson County has been so welcoming and supportive between the mayor, the judge, state representatives, city council. They have been so kind and welcoming to us.
In Pine Bluff, Carter Thweet, THV11 News.
Safa says there are nearly 400 workers at the construction site on a daily basis. The project is scheduled to be finished by this time next year. Well, we can't wrap up the week without a cute story, and we have a good one. Still ahead, we'll show you how a few puppies are bringing one neighborhood closer together.
12 of these watching football on a Sunday. It'll make the Cowboys games a lot easier because we're terrible.
What's up, everybody? We're back in North Little Rock this week on Pike Avenue, like 3 minutes away from Argenta. We're here at Carrie's this week. Now, it's only been open a couple of months. This place already has an amazing reputation for amazing food in North Little Rock. And by the way, the menu is bigger than Burns Park. So what do you say? Let's eat it up. Where did the name come from? And turns out you're honoring your father.
Yep, come from my father. But I always wanted to follow my dad's footsteps and cook, so I started doing that. So I was, talking to my husband about it, and my kids and stuff motivated me, and my parents. We just jumped out on faith and opened our own. I've always just been in the kitchen just cooking. So, and I love Sundays when we do the dressing and stuff. So, yeah, I just like to cook. So, you just have places you can just go and just sit and don't have to be crowded around everybody. You can, pick your little seats, and people that have large groups, church and stuff like that, so we wanted enough room for everybody. We can bring something to North Little Rock to where, people around this area can have something, great to eat instead of travel so far.
And how much pride do you take in your food?
A lot of pride. I mean, the mac and cheese, the yams, the fish, chicken. We have a seafood pasta, the salmon, the chicken strip salad. We have a lot of good, we have a big menu, a large menu, so we have a lot of stuff on there. How would you like your egg?
Ooh, over easy. That's like me.
All right.
Like Sunday morning, right here.
All right.
I'm getting spoiled today.
Is there anything better in the world than an over easy egg on a burger?
The shredded lettuce, the bacon, the tomato, and that mustard on there too, with mayo. Oh my gosh. Texas toast burger. It just puts it over the top. So Katrina told me, she said, I heard you like spicy, so these are spicy. And we're about to find out how much I really do like spicy. It's there immediately, but it's really, really good. Yeah, I could do about 12 more of these. Look at the size of that catfish. Hello, that's some Lone Oak County Pond catfish right there. That's what I'm talking about. Listen for the crunch. Thanksgiving, about a month away. Get you some of these. Save yourself the trouble. Get the yams from right here. That is delicious. All right, y'all, you get the club. Look, lunch, dinner. Lunch, dinner. Or if you got the afternoon off, lunch.
A group of puppies are safe this week, sitting in new homes just in time for the holidays. But that wouldn't be the case if one Arkansas police officer didn't step up. Carter Thweet shows us how his quick thinking brought a neighborhood together.
In the corner of that apartment, Officer Chase Hunton found this: 11 puppies curled up with no mother in sight.
He said, I need you to look at the picture I just sent you. And there is a box of teeny tiny
filthy, flea-infested puppies, and some of their eyes weren't even open.
The puppies were too weak and too many for the local shelter to take, so his wife Hannah, a nurse, told him to bring the dogs home. Her sister, Natalie Shelton, works for Best Friends, a volunteer group dedicated to saving animals that otherwise might not make it, so she knew what to do.
Really, not only provide for the puppies, but empower these community members that are trying to step up and help out. This is part of what we do. We teach community members of what to do to get involved and to help save lives.
One of those community members was Laura Jones, the Hunton's neighbor, who says she didn't know them well before, but got what she called an SOS signal from Hannah.
I texted her and I was like, whatever you need, I'm happy to do it. And she said, I really just need help feeding. And I was like, great, give me a time and I'll be there.
Together, Hannah, Natalie, and Laura set up a neighborhood group to take turns feeding the dogs and got foster families to take turns nursing them back to health.
I was like, okay, I've got to find people to take over for me, whether they came to the house or if we sent them to their own homes. We needed more hands.
Unfortunately, 2 of the dogs were too weak to save, but the other 9 were adopted, including Winnie, who went to one volunteer that got particularly attached.
Winnie's adoption fell through the week that the puppies were going to go on transport. I was not too terribly sad that it fell through because we absolutely fell in love.
In Little Rock, Carter Thweet, THV11 News.
And if you would like to get involved with Best Friends or just help out with other efforts like this, more info can be found on our website, THV11.com. And that's where you can find all the stories from this week, both local and national. We want to thank you for tuning in to another edition of This Weekend Wrap Up, only on THV11 Plus. I'm Jurnee Taylor. We'll see you next week.